Wirtz shows his magic, but Haaland and Dortmund have the last word. Andy Brassell. You couldn't say you weren't warned. A flurry of goals. Lead changes. Villains turned heroes. A controversial winner. Jude Bellingham catching a pint of beer thrown at Erling Haaland, even. Yes, all the chaos we expect when Bayer Leverkusen faced Borussia Dortmund came to pass, and then some, on Saturday afternoon. BVB's Twitter account had attempted to light the blue touch paper before the game, pointing out that 43 goals had been scored in the last 9 games between the teams. In the end, it turned out their suggestion was a little on the conservative side. On a weekend which later saw Bayern Munich flex their muscles at the home of RB Leipzig, the Bundesliga would have been forgiven for looking around elsewhere for a potential challenger at the top for the Rekordmeister. Whether they would have found that at the Bay Arena is open to question. There was high entertainment, great possibility, but also a more than nagging doubt over whether either of these teams have the business heads to trouble Bayern when it comes to the crunch. The understatement in Rudi Völler's post-match analysis that we made 1 or 2 mistakes too many hung in the air. His Leverkusen side had dazzled for a large portion of the afternoon, especially when Florian Wirtz shone early on, giving his team the lead with a deliciously nonchalant finish and running the show. The 18-year-old is a beacon of hope for what they could become, an absolute natural whose character is already distinct enough to transcend the lazy typecasting in some quarters that has him as Kai Havertz's successor. Wirtz became the youngest player to reach 8 Bundesliga goals, 190 days younger than Jadon Sancho was when the now Manchester United winger hit the same mark. He also went past former teammate Havertz as the youngest to 9 assists by 1 day when laying on the second for Patrick Schick after another former Wirtz prodigy, Julian Brandt, carelessly lost the ball. These numbers, though, feel like a clumsy way of reaching for a definition of Wirtz's magic. Let's just settle for saying that he is an absolute delight to watch. Getting lost in the beauty of this game, rather than picking over the medium to long-term implications, felt just fine. It was a great game, Leverkusen coach Gerardo Sion said, and that's why we love the sport. Wirtz's goal, Schick's typically confident strike, and even Moussa Diaby's sweep home from the edge of the area with his right foot after initially kicking fresh air with his usually reliable left were all to be savored. Sion has already made Leverkusen must-watch, but he conceded it's very annoying when you lead 3 times and end up empty-handed. Pure entertainment. Erling Haaland. Florian Wirtz toe poke % number B04 BVB had it all. Macron. If you watch one thing today, make sure it is this number Bundesliga classic. Pic.twitter.com 5RJYU3WCQG. The Dortmund camp were more overtly peaked, and for different reasons. After all, they had reason for satisfaction after coming back from a deficit 3 times to win. Marco Rose, on his 45th birthday, told Sky of how angry he was about the 3 goals his team conceded. The captain Marco Reus, who won the penalty Haaland converted to win the game much to Leverkusen's chagrin, betrayed a degree of early season exasperation in noting that we can't always score 3 or 4 goals to win games. The sense of defiance was clear, not just in that refusal to quit, with Brandt rattling in a second equalizer to atone for his early faux pas, or in Rafael Guerreiro's spectacular free kick to make it 3-3. It was in the celebrations from Haaland and his teammates which followed the winner, when the beer cups rained down and Bellingham caught one and chanced a swig, my first beer. I've had a word with him about that, said general manager Sebastian Kehl, recognizing the emotion of the moment, a feeling that translated into more spikiness later. Bayern sporting director Hassan Salihamidzic stirred the pot by telling Sky 90 he thought it was extraordinary that Reus had left the Germany squad early to rest a sore knee, as pre-agreed with Hansi Flick, only to play here. Salihamidzic's opposite number, Michael Zorc, simply invited him to shut up in response. If BVB are not able to keep pace with Bayern, it is already clear why, with their defensive shape, rather than just the defense itself, even given the late panic signing of Marin Pongracic on loan from Wolfsburg, who debuted here, a big issue in their worst defensive start to a season since 1991-92. Yet the one question guaranteed to grind Dortmund gears last season, of their fortitude, is less likely to be asked now. Borrowing a favorite phrase of Jurgen Klopp, Bild's Walter M. Strayton suggested a mentality monster is growing from what was a mentality mouse. This was, as Bellingham later suggested on Twitter, the kind of match that last season we would lose. If enjoying the spectacle, not assessing the long term, felt like the order of the day, it was not a perspective shared by Dortmunders. He might have been the receiving end of a few boos as he made his way to the touchline, but Julian Nagelsmann had as tranquil a return to Leipzig as he could have imagined. I've always felt at home here, he archly remarked to Sky afterwards. Even today. Bayern were well in control after Robert Lewandowski gave them an early lead from the penalty spot, and though Jesse Marsch's team showed plenty of fight, the second-half introduction of Jamal Musiala, described as extraordinary by Nagelsmann, accelerated the game's denouement as he scored and set up Leroy Sane in the blink of an eye. Thomas Muller even wryly looked forward to the point where Musiala takes his starting spot. He can have it someday, he smiled. Jamal Musiala stars P as at Bayern and convincingly beat RBLEIPZIG number RBLFCB number Blmatchdaypick.twitter.com Akra Wolfsburg remain top of the tree with a 100% record after 4 games, a club record, but it wasn't easy at Greuther Fürth, where Cone Castiel's magnificent late save from Dixon Abiyama preserved the lead given to them by Lucas Nmeka before Wout Weghorst made it safe with an even later penalty. The resolve of Mark van Bommel's team is clear. Fürth tried everything to break us, said Maximilian Arnold, but we accepted the fight, and they have an opportunity to start well in the Champions League this week as they host vulnerable opponents in off-key French champions Lille. Mainz make up the top 4 as stands, again underlining their rise under Bo Svensson with a polished, or disciplined and serene, as the coach put it, performance in a 2-0 win at Hoffenheim. It was a third clean sheet of the season too, with the only concern the loss of captain Moussa Niakate to injury. Given that the start of their campaign was thrown into chaos by a COVID outbreak, it's some achievement. Hertha finally got their first points of the season, winning at Bochum on the back of a raft of changes, but thanks to a clinical edge rather than sweeping brilliance, with Swat Serder's double before halftime giving Pal Dardai's team control of the game. One of the new boys, French striker Miziane Malita, sealed the deal with a solo goal after Simon Zoller pulled one back for the hosts. In the 78th minute, it was Hertha's first shot of the second half.